Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kaustubha. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Yoga, Chatham, New York. This is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kaustubha. Welcome to the show, and welcome to Makeover Monday. Today's the day that we really start to focus in on how we can improve ourselves this week. It's the beginning of the week. It's like a new day, a new dawn. What am I going to do differently? How can I upgrade the quality of my existence by a few good choices made every day? What can it be? Kaustubha, come on.
You know, I feel bad because this weekend I didn't read my Bhagavad Gita chapters like I was doing. Got to make them up.
Got to make them up. You can read 2 today. It's like, okay, you got.
No, I got to read 3 today.
14 Hail Marys.
I got to read 3 today, but I'm down. I'm happy to read 3 today. So.
Yeah. Me and Mara are going to start at the beginning of a week of extra reading.
Really?
Also, yeah.
And, what are you going to read? What esoteric literature do you plan on?
Secret esoteric literature. It's not to disclose to the many.
Okay, it's private, it's secret.
Yes, we're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
And we had a great weekend. Me and Kaustubha hanging out this weekend. And Kaustubha,
some stuff done.
Harinam, did you go chanting this weekend?
Oh, I did. It was beautiful.
There's something powerful about chanting publicly in the streets, isn't it? That's sort of like the magic. That's the magic. It seems like, well, what's the difference? I chanted my yoga class. I went to a kirtan. But when you get out there in the public, there's something about like an ego shedder. It's just like it drops your ego and just I think it makes you chant better. What do you think?
Well, you know, I'll be honest. I've been at this for a long time now, so when I go out in public and chant, I'm not struggling with like, what do people think about me or anything like that. You know, it's like, that's really not there, but there's something, you know, I enjoy it, particularly when it's done well, right? When it's done not so well, I'm kind of like, okay, I'm going to do this because there's a spiritual principle here that's like powerful.
Yeah, when it's done well, it sounds great. When it's not done well, it's sort of like, okay, that's when the ego might.
I don't even mean only musically, although, you know, I like when it's done musically well, but I just mean like when I feel like people can appreciate this, they can see it, they're, you know, there's not just a spiritual principle working in the background, but like there's also people can see and say, these people are onto something. Look,
right.
Look at these people. It's a beautiful group of people. They're making beautiful music together. There's something spiritual going on here. I can feel it. I love being part of that.
Yeah. I will say too, there is something about people who can't play musical instruments that well or even sing well, but they're doing it anyway. There's something like beautiful about that as well.
True.
You know what I mean? They're just doing it. They're just singing.
They don't care.
Yeah. I think it was Prabhupada's guru used to sometimes just give the cartels in the morning to like one of the devotees who was very pure at heart, but he wasn't very talented.
Yeah.
Just to set the standard high. Like this is what we're going for. We're not going for a performance here.
Don't make the mistake that this is a material thing. It's a deeply spiritual principle going on here, and that's the more important element.
Yeah, heart over head.
Heart over head, beauty over power. You didn't like that one.
Beauty over power.
How about heart
Well,
over
beauty
head?
over power, because that could sound like, I'm just into beautiful people. You're a little ugly, I'm not into you.
Okay. I think
Yeah,
it
I
could
don't
be
like powerful
misinterpreted.
people. I just like beautiful people. It can
Well,
be taken in a really material way.
Mara could get the back piece, beauty over power, but it could have like a footnote too.
An asterisk. We don't mean material beauty. Or material power. How about spiritual power over material beauty? How about that one? Balaram, Lord Balaram, he's very strong.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if that's going to work for the back piece.
All right, I think we may just have to keep it on.
Keep working on
what? That's what. All right. So we are in the Srimad Bhagavatam. We're going through lists.
What is our episode today, Raghunath?
Mara?
This is what you should be saying. Welcome to episode. Okay.
Episode 276.
276. That's exciting. 276. All right. We are in the Srimad. What a great class yesterday. Why aren't we talking about that class? If you haven't listened to yesterday's interview with Edwin Bryant, Professor. I just love calling him Professor.
That's because of Gilligan's Island.
I was thinking it's just because I like to be educated, like I'm talking to the professor, but I think it's actually the samskara is from Gilligan's Island.
I think so too. I knew it. When you got all excited about the word professor, I said, oh, this is a Gilligan's Island thing.
You know my deepest.
There's an island where people are referring to just one person as the professor. Doesn't even have a name.
That would make me Gilligan. Oh, jeez. All right. Let's not go through the whole cast to see who's who. The Europeans are like, what are they talking about? Gilligan's Island. I have never heard such episodes.
Or don't Google it.
Okay. All right. So we're in a Srimad Bhagavatam, and we are in Canto 2. We're going through a bunch of avatars. Lord Brahma is listing the avatars. It's quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What's our text, Kaustubha?
I think we're on 18, or is it 17? 17.
Okay. Bali Maharaj, who put his head, Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Shaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tojayam Mudiraye. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service to the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Tamrandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Midatam Nena Tasmai Shri Guru. Text 17, sorry. The Lord, although transcendental to all material modes, still surpassed all the qualities of the sons of Aditi, known as the Adityas. The Lord appeared as the youngest son of Aditi.
How can we not hear that name Aditi and not miss Aditi being
think of Aditi? Yeah,
being a zoomer.
Yeah. The Lord appeared as the youngest son of Aditi, and because he surpassed all the planets of the universe, he is the supreme personality of Godhead. On the pretense of asking for a measurement of 3 footsteps of land, he took away all the land of Bali Maharaj. He asked simply because without begging, no authority can take one's rightful possession. He asked simply because without begging, no authority can take one's rightful possession.
So the
Meryl, here's a trivia one for you. What's the name of the Lord of Vishnu that takes 3 steps? What's the Sanskrit name for Vishnu?
Vamanadev.
Well, that's his name. Vamana means like a dwarf. What is the name for 3 steps? Come on, Mara. It's Monday. Trivikram. Trivikram. 3 steps. Lord Vishnu taking 3 steps.
There's a Trivikrama asana as
Yeah.
well, right?
Okay, so you want me to just read these? We don't want to talk about the avatars much.
We'll read the next one about Bali Maharaj. Maybe just share something quick about him, but
Okay. Bali Maharaj, who put on his head the water washed from the lotus feet of the Lord, did not think of anything besides his promise, in spite of being forbidden by his spiritual master. The king dedicated his own personal body to fulfill the measurement of the Lord's third step. For such a personality, even the kingdom of heaven, which he conquered by his strength, was of no value. So here's Bali Maharaj. He is one of these people. He's cultured. He's sophisticated. We got a lot of people like this in America right now.
Powerful.
Cultured, sophisticated, powerful, yet they can't see God, even if God's standing right in front of their face. They just, that vision is blind to them. And Bali Maharaj is the story of the person who's not born in a spiritual family, not born in a, I don't want to say righteous, because these type of demons, they had a type of dharma to them also, but they just, were ethical without, like, where is all this ethics going? In Bhakti, we say your dharma is supposed to bring you to Bhakti. You're not just supposed to be good for being good. But he was actually the king of the Asuras. And even though God was standing right face to face with him, he didn't get it. And then finally, he had this epiphany when Lord Vamanadev started to realize that this is Lord Vishnu. And he had an epiphany. My Lord, I understand this is you. It's sort of the epiphany everybody wants. Like, what am I doing in this world? Why am I working so hard? Why? Some people have everything meticulous going on in their life, between their bills and their marriage and their kids and everything. It's been a wrinkle-free life, but they forgot God. And there's no spiritual component to their life. And Bali Maharaj was this guy, just like that. And then finally, it's just like, my Lord, take that third step and place that foot on my head. And he bowed down, surrendered his life.
There's a whole story we could tell right now, but maybe we just hold on that for now. But here in this verse, it mentions that even though it was forbidden by his guru, and the idea was he was in this dynasty of demons who were supposed to be dead set against Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu appears to him in disguise as a beautiful dwarf monk, and begs charity from him. And his demon guru is telling him, don't. Even you've promised to give him charity, don't do it, because this is Vishnu who's trying to trick you. And he's like, and that's where he says, I want to serve Vishnu. He has that desire. And so he actually ignores the instruction of his guru. So this verse shows that when a guru goes off, they should be rejected. And
another great point.
Yeah.
When the guru tells you to reject Vishnu, that's a bad sign.
That's a bad sign. But what? Just quickly mention. One of my favorite Bhagavatam verses comes in this episode, and where he, Bali offers the dwarf incarnation avatar, ask for me anything you want, and I'll give it to you. And he can give him anything. I mean, he's going to give him planets. He can give him. He rules the universe literally. And he asks for only 3
getting
steps.
A planet.
Yeah, and so he asks. He asked for only 3 steps of land. He asked for 3 steps of land, and so Bali says to him, "Why are you asking for so little? I could give you so much." And then he says this famous verse, right? It's a real game changer. This is a tattoo right here. You ready, Mara? Think about this one.
I'm ready.
On your neck.
Oh, my dear king, even the entirety of whatever there may be within the 3 worlds to satisfy one's senses cannot satisfy a person whose senses are uncontrolled. What do you think?
That's a good one.
Good one, man? What do you think, Raghu?
Yeah.
Okay, you don't sound too excited.
Errol, do it.
Yeah,
No, it's a great verse.
Decent verse. I've heard better verses. That's a good verse. Shall I read it again?
That's a good verse.
Even the entirety of whatever there may be within the 3 worlds to satisfy one's senses cannot satisfy a person whose senses are uncontrolled. We only become satisfied when we control the senses, not by trying to satisfy them with more. All right, Raghunath's just like unimpressed with that verse. Looking at me like, oh.
No. I'm being really introspective today.
Okay.
Deep self.
When
I'm
you do that,
self-controlled. Even hearing that, I'm self-controlled.
okay. When you're doing that in an audio format, you have to like give like a or something.
Oh yeah.
Like that.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Most of our listeners are not on Zoom.
Yeah, you're staring at me with this glare in your glasses, so it's just like with this
I
dead.
like wearing glasses. It makes me feel smarter.
It doesn't make you look smarter.
Come on.
Serious.
It does
Well, you
make
got
me
that
look
glare.
smarter.
Okay. All
Let
right.
the
Shall we
Zoomers
continue?
just deal with it.
Okay.
I'm not here to impress them. Okay. Bali Text 19. Oh, Narda, you were taught about the science of God and his transcendental loving service by the personality of Godhead in his incarnation as the Hamsa avatar.
Swan.
What is the Hamsa avatar, Mara? Don't look at your book.
I don't know.
What's a Hamsa? There's even a yoga pose. Hamsasana.
Is there? I didn't know that one. It's a swan.
Yeah, it's like peacock, but backwards.
Hmm.
Hamsa avatar, the swan, like Paramahamsa.
Yeah.
He was very much pleased with you due to your intense proportion of devotional service. He also explained unto you lucidly the full science of devotional service, which is especially understandable by persons who are souls surrendered unto Lord Vasudeva, the personality of Godhead.
Yeah, I don't quite understand. 'Cause you hear about Hamsa Avatar in the 11th canto, but there he's speaking especially to Brahma and the four Kumars, but maybe Narada was there too.
Which makes me feel like there's a lot of stuff in these avatars. I mean, I feel like we're getting a trailer
Yeah,
of a big
definitely.
major motion picture, and even in the Bhagavatam, even the stories of Nrsingadev and the stories are very elaborate. The story of Bali Maharaj, there's so many details because it's real life. It's just like if I'm telling a story to Mara, yeah, I saw this guy get hit by a car, it was crazy. There's so much more going on that I'm not even explaining. So I got a feeling we are getting just a glimpse in, and sometimes in these things we're not getting the whole picture for sure.
Well, no question. I mean, this is just a verse. And even if we read the description in Bhagavatam, still there's commentaries that kind of going to reveal more and all that.
Yeah. As the incarnation of Manu, the Lord became the descendant of the Manu dynasty and ruled over the miscreant kingly order, subduing them by powerful wheel weapon. Undeterred in all directions, his rule was characterized by his glorious fame, which spread all over the three lokas, and above them the planetary systems of Satyaloka, the topmost in the universe.
Okay.
It's the highest planet, Satyaloka.
Manvantars. So the Manus are different. Another category of avatars.
What are the Manus?
The Manus.
What are they actually?
They say there's 14 of them come in a day of Lord Brahma, which is an extremely long time, and
They're just sort of like fathers of mankind.
That's the way Prabhupada phrases it commonly. But I guess they're important leaders that are responsible for universal social order.
And they make law. There's a famous law book called Manu
the law.
Samhita.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're sort of like the
lawmakers.
ancestors.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting. Like every Indian, like at least 30 years ago, everything's changed in India now. But Manu, it's just like they got so much in there as part of that culture. Manu. Sometimes they even have the names in their last names. Like their last names are the names of the rishis. It's amazing. You know?
So, well, that's still there for sure.
Yeah, it's still there. All right. Thank you. Thank God Mara's here because I'm all over the place with my scrolling. The Lord in his incarnation as Dhanvantari very quickly cures the diseases of the ever diseased living entities simply by his fame personified, and only because of him do the demigods achieve long lives. Thus, the personality of Godhead becomes ever glorified. He also exacted a share from the sacrifice, and it is he only who inaugurated the medical science or the knowledge of medicine in the universe. Where did Ayurveda come from? It came from an avatar. Where did your medical system come? It came from God. It all came from God.
It's all handed down there in these texts, right?
Isn't it interesting? That's like the very teaching. It came from God.
And to this day, I'm eating my chow and prash, this season, right?
Yeah. It's hard to believe, like, well, there were some people. Man invented it. Nope. What's the word? Apurashaya?
Mm-hmm.
Apurashaya means what?
It means this.
Here's a Sanskrit glossary goodie of the day: apurusheya.
You know, I would want to look it up to get a real clip, but it
Okay.
generally means something that's not man created, but handed down from the spiritual realm or something like that, right?
Yeah, because that's one of the things atheists will always say. Well, how do you know? Just a man created it. No, it didn't. Man didn't create this. It's a purusheya. Yeah, let's make that a Sanskrit glossary goodie for tomorrow. There's a new thing we've been.
We already brought it out today.
There's a new. Well, you got a goods. We have a new thing. We just want to share this with everyone. It's called the Sanskrit glossary goodie. That way, you're walking out of here with a piece of Sanskrit word to add to your yogic vocabulary. So, Kaustubha picked a good one.
I got it right. Oh well, I got it right here. Purusheya.
Okay, what does it say?
Not of human. Not of human origin. It's a term used to describe the Vedas a lot, especially that they're not of human origin.
Not of human origin. You want to put that on the board, Mara? Grab your fingers in there.
You can't read while I'm doing
All right, I can't read. Okay. Me and Mara are still working out our system, our new system. This is our I'm teaching yoga again system. Okay.
Next.
When the ruling administrators, who are known as kshatriyas or warriors, turned astray from the path of the absolute truth, being desirous to suffer in hell, the Lord, in his incarnation as the sage Parshuram, uprooted those unwanted kings who appeared as thorns of the earth. Thus he thrice 7 times uprooted the kshatriyas with his keenly sharpened chopper.
What's his chopper?
Which is, you know,
It's an axe. It's a big.
It's like an axe.
It's
It's
a
a
battle
chopper.
axe.
I just recently read that his father, I think, was tortured by these kings or killed by these kings.
And also here it's being mentioned that the earth is, right? The thorns of the earth, that these rulers were the thorns of the earth, right? Causing pain to the earth.
Well, you know, it's one of those things. When we do good in this world, everybody benefits us. When we're of service, when we're connected, when we're spiritually on our game, it's not like we're living in a vacuum and I'm feeling good. Everybody's going to benefit. And that's one sign. That's one sign that you're doing something good in this world. It'll have an effect on other people. And the converse is true. When you're screwing up, when you're causing harm, you're creating a ripple effect of inauspiciousness. And it extends outside your family. It extends to everybody you meet. I mean, we know this if you have anybody who's been in addiction. It's not like they're an addiction. Their crazy driving down the road is putting everybody in great terror. And here it's saying even the earth itself. The earth is a being. And you can just see what's going on with the earth right now, what we're doing. Like
A lot of thorns.
we're beyond thorns. We're like jackhammering the earth in the sanity. Kali Yuga is progressing, and we have to like band together.
You know, but particularly what we see as we read through these lists is a lot of the avatars have to deal with dealing with cruel, callous, misguided leaders.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And coming basically to vanquish them.
Yeah. One of the purposes, but there's more.
How do you know if like these leaders, are they worse than our present leaders? Are they better than our like are our leaders worse than them? I mean, Kamsa was going around killing tons of babies. I mean, that was pretty bad. You know, I guess, you know, people there's all kinds of crazy stuff.
There's all kind of crazy stuff going
And we're not even getting into conspiracy theories.
Yeah,
yet.
let's keep moving. I mean, you know, the amount of cow killing that's going on. There's so many horrible things going on in our
I mean,
society, so.
Okay. Well, maybe another avatar, another
Well,
secret
there is an
avatar.
avatar for this age.
Well, there's Lord Chaitanya. Then we have Kalki. I wonder if one will.
But there's the
Buddha,
Nama avatar.
Buddha. I wonder if like some other avatar will come.
There is. It's come. It just has to become more prominent. That's the Nama avatar, the holy name.
The holy name avatar. That's what we're doing right now.
Yeah, in this age. Okay.
Huh. We don't have my Maha screen anymore. Now I'm just working on my smaller screen.
It's your Maha screen out there. Why didn't you bring it over there?
It's the whole thing.
I thought this was the new studio. I like I'm digging the whole thing. The new
figuring
studio.
it out.
Okay.
23. Due to his causeless mercy upon all living entities within the universe, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, along with his plenary extensions, appeared in the family of Maharaj Ikshvaku. Ikshvaku was the first human being, right? Or the first human king.
Was he?
I think so. That's what it says in the Gita, right?
Well, it says that the sun god handed to his son
Manu, and Manu handed it to Maharaj Ikshvaku.
Manu wasn't a king?
I think not of the earth. I think Ikshvaku was the king of the earth.
Okay.
Or of the civilized earth. Maharaj Ikshvaku, and that was the dynasty of Ram.
Yeah, so this is talking about Ram, this verse here. We got a few verses dedicated to
Lord
Ram.
Appeared in the family of Maharaj Ikshvaku as the lord of his internal potency, Sita. Under the order of his father, Maharaj Dasarath, he entered the forest and lived there for considerable years with his wife and younger brother. Ravana, who was very materially powerful, with 10 heads on his shoulders, committed a great offense against him and was thus ultimately vanquished. Let me just read 24.
And 25.
Okay. The personality of Godhead, Ramachandra, being aggrieved for his distant, intimate friend, Sita, glanced over the city of his enemy, Ravana, with red-hot eyes like those of Hara, who wanted to burn the kingdom of heaven. The great ocean, trembling in fear, gave him his way because its family members, the aquatics, like sharks, snakes, and crocodiles, were being burnt by the heat of the angry, red-hot eyes of the Lord. When Ravana was engaged in the battle, the trunk of the elephant, which carried the king of heaven, Indra, broke in pieces, having collided with the chest of Ravana. And the scattered, broken parts illuminated all directions. Ravana therefore felt proud of his prowess and began to loiter in the midst of fighting soldiers, thinking himself the conqueror of all directions. But his laughter, overtaken by joy, along with his very air of life, suddenly ceased with the tingling sound of the bow of Ramachandra, the personality of Godhead. How exciting.
Yes, very exciting, right? Very graphic description there of how this chariot smashed into his chest. Indra's chariot smashes into his chest and illuminated parts scatter all over the place. Someone's got to make a movie of that, right? But, here's 3 verses. We're going through a list of incarnations, different avatars, and we had a couple dedicated to Bali. We have 3 here dedicated to Rama. And now the next verse, it opens up where he starts to talk about Krishna. It's 10 verses dedicated to Krishna. Right? It kind of like what Professor Bryant was saying yesterday, right? That's that part of what makes the Bhagavatam so special is that the 10th canto, which is a quarter of the entire thing, is all dedicated to the pastimes of Krishna. So once they start talking about Krishna, it gets extended here. This is the real theme of the Bhagavatam.
It was so nice having Professor Bryant. It's like, okay, he's really smart and he believes all this. He's smart and has a beard and he believes all this stuff. It must be true. Okay. Text 25. When Ravana was engaged in battle, the trunk of the elephant, which carried...
We just read this, didn't we? Did we?
No.
You sure?
I was...
Yeah.
Mara. She corrected me, and then she was wrong. It's okay to correct me. You just got to be right. When the world is overburdened by the fighting strength of kings who have no faith in God, the Lord, just to diminish the distress of the world, descends with his plenary portion. When the world is overburdened by the fighting strength of the kings who have no faith in God, the Lord, just to diminish the distress of the world, descends with his plenary portions. Plenary means a piece of in full, I think.
Part, yeah.
Part, yeah. The Lord comes in his original form with beautiful black hair. Blondes are not the original form of God, just black. And just to expand his transcendental glories, he acts extraordinarily. No one can properly estimate his greatness, how great he is. There's no doubt.
So hold it right there.
Who?
Hey. So,
Let's go.
so that now we're going to talk. Krishna's been introduced now.
Okay,
You know, fortunately, you're lagging. I don't. Is he lagging for everyone? Yeah, you're lagging. We got to work on the studio. There's a little bit of lag going on. So I think your Ramones rendition just got lagged out for us.
Crap.
But it's been a little bit, not a lot, but a little. I don't know if there's a way we can look at that. But so now he's going to begin to speak about Krishna, and there'll be a couple other avatars mentioned after this. But he's going to give 10 verses to Krishna here, and it's mentioned that he's got beautiful black hair. He descends with his plenary portion. That means Balaram, right? And that they come because the world is, again, these thorns, right? The world is overburdened by the fighting strength of kings, of rulers, right? Who have no faith in God, and just to diminish the distress of the world. And, of course, in the Bhagavad Gita, there's a very famous verse about this. Raghu, should I put you on the hot seat for this one?
Yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuttana mandharmasya tadappanam shujamyaham.
And especially the next one.
Paritranaya sadunam Duskritam Dharmas Fans
Vinashaya Chaduskritam.
Dharmas Fanisti
Some starpanat some stop.
Yuga. It ends with Yuga. Yuga after Yuga.
Yeah.
The Lord comes to descend, not just to kill these kings, to wipe out these kings, but to please the devotees.
Yeah.
And then we were saying this yesterday or Friday, how these pastimes are so like relishable. And this, my 6-year-old answered these questions, asked this question. Couldn't Krishna just appear and kill all these demons? Why does he even have to kill all these demons? Can't he just kill them before they descend?
Who asked that?
Tarun, my 6-year-old.
All right, great question.
Good question,
Tarun.
wasn't it? It was a good question. Why do they have to descend and kill them? He's God. He can just take care of them. And the answer is that he manifests drama to engage all of our senses and all our mind. And there's a hero's, it's so funny. There's a hero's story, and the hero wins, and it makes us fall deeper in love with the hero.
Yeah,
it's like it's what classical story is written. It was such a problem with, says my mom the other day, of course, and I don't have a television. If I want to watch something, I go on YouTube or something. But my mom's got a big television, so I'm laying in her bed, and of course it's late at night. I'm gonna watch television before I go to bed. There's got to be something good on, and it goes to the show. Ever heard of a show called 48 Hours?
I've heard of it.
No, it's not a new show. It's one of those true crime shows.
Like the world's about to blow up in 48 hours. And
no, it's about if you don't solve a crime in 48 hours, it's practically impossible to solve that crime. It's like you need 48 hours to figure it out. So in that 48 hours, So I just was like, and this girl was abducted, and I was like, oh crap!
You did exactly what you talked about.
I did exactly. I know. and right to the abduction. But I was like, well, they're gonna figure this out. They got 48 hours, which means they're gonna figure this out. It's gonna have a great story. And so I'm flicking through other channels. They're auctioning off things. They're having antique roadshow. That's a good show.
That one's not as polluting.
Back with 48 hours. Oh, and then she's missing, and they're dredging a pond. They're asking neighbors. I was like, good, they're onto this. They're gonna save her. Flicking through the channels, go to more. It's all about like the guys who fix cars, soup up cars, pimp my cars, and going through the channels, checking back in, and finally, it's like the last 10 minutes. I was like, what's going on here? And then it ends. She's still missing. It's been 10 years. I was just like, the parents have no closure. I was just like, that's not how I want to go to bed at night. I want closure. They caught him. He's getting punished severely for his crime. She's okay. The parents rejoice. They're happier than ever. There's no closure. That's not a good story. This might be a diversion, everybody. But the point is, when Krishna descends and performs that hero's journey, and good triumphs over evil, it makes us fall in love more with Krishna. I apologize.
And I think but I think you're saying that it is I'm no expert on Sanskrit drama, but I've just heard a little bit about it and the rules of Sanskrit drama. But I believe like one of the rules of Sanskrit drama is that it's meant to always have a happy ending. And one could ask why. And the idea was that these dramatists, they had this idea, you know, it was the sages that were like kind of laying out the rules. And they had this conception apparently that for the mental well-being of people, right? That the drama you should walk out there feeling this good triumphing over evil, and you should feel uplifted and purified by it.
I went to bed with no mental well-being. I was like,
See?
he's out there.
Yeah.
The world is not a safe place.
So yeah, so why don't we read the commentary here again? I like it. We've been last week where we're talking about these incarnations, we were mentioning, you know, that one could look at these avatars as appearing for 3 reasons, right? And one was
three reasons.
That's what we're talking about, right? If I hope I can remember them right now.
Enliven the sadhus, please the sadhus.
Yeah, or to captivate the mind of the devotees.
Oh, to captivate the minds. Okay.
Yeah, and then for, you know, to reestablish that social order. And what was the other one? For his own sense of adventure, right? For his own, he enjoys the battle, you know.
Yeah.
Why are you looking at me with? Okay, you're
I've never heard that one. I don't remember that one.
No, we talked about it last week a couple of times, right? He enjoyed like coming as a tortoise and having his back. He enjoys, you know, engaging with the demons and so on, right? That's part of his own. Just like we, you know, we enjoy. You know,
we enjoy adventure. Lisa Bermudez, Krishungi, they're always got some adventure.
I was in the park where I was watching some kids compete. Right, there's some sporting activity going on, and some kids are playing, and I was just, you know, just watching the psychology and you know how. And I remember being that age, and the joy of, you know, that competition. And you know, so from a Bhagavatam perspective, we say, well, how is that in us that there's something in us like we enjoy exerting ourselves and competing? And say that's also coming from Bhagavan, right? That's coming from God. We're a little part of that energy. We have that, but so therefore we could look at it the other way, because it's in us, it must be in him, and so he enjoys that personal adventure of coming and competing and battling and all of that. But so in any case, but one of the reasons is that he comes to kind of reestablish the social order, which especially means dealing with all of these horrible rulers. But what's being said in that verse, Paritranaya Sadhunam, such an important, you know, such an often quoted verse, Sadhunam, Paritranaya Sadhunam, to deliver the pious. So you can say, you know, the sadhus, right? Like those, the people that want a good spiritual life. He comes to deliver them, or you could say to captivate their minds through his leelas, through his pastimes.
Hey, we're still doing it. It's tens of thousands of years later, and we're still talking about the story.
We're still talking about these pastimes, right?
And they're still giving us some enlightenment. You know, it's an interesting point too, and we've made this point before. It's like sometimes when you're describing these pastimes to new people, and you're like, you know, there's a story about Krishna lifting a hill, and then Ram cutting off the head of the demon. That didn't work, but the arrow in Ravana's heart that killed the demon. And then you got to get the heart. When you tell these stories, you're like, these are fantastic stories peppered with deep spiritual truth. If you can't believe these stories, if they're too fantastic, your mind, there's deep truth there. But the more you get into it, it's not just the philosophy tucked in, like, you know, there's like a piece of medicine and a thing of honey. It's actually the honey itself. The stories itself are captivating for the mind. The stories are the goals in themselves, not even just the wisdom of the stories. It's hearing these pastimes that actually makes us actually fall in love with Bhagavan, that actually excavates the bhakti that's sort of within us already. It's not just the deep philosophical message inside it. It's the actual lifting of Govardhan Hill.
Well, that's the esoteric side, right? So like for listeners that are practicing bhakti, and then someone comes up and says, you really believe that there's this boy and he lifted this mountain? You know, what you can say at a time like that is, you know what, that's the esoteric side of this. Let's talk about the exoteric part of it. Let's talk about the more
Exoteric. You know what?
Yeah.
That's going to be our
English word.
vocabulary goodie. We need some Merriam-Webster goodies too. Exoteric. I tell you, yeah, you want to write that one down? Exoteric. Let's get that. Trans-rational. There, you guys have been throwing that one around. Trans-rational. I'm going to use that today.
Okay.
We're also into your spiritual evolution and your vocabulary building here, people.
We're going to try to help build vocabulary.
We're going to help build vocabulary. Exoteric. You guys really, you and the professor yesterday you're trans-rational, exoskeleton.
So, as something that's esoteric means it's only going to be understood by a small number of people.
Esoteric. Right? Okay.
Something that's exoteric is something that's more easily understandable.
Like an exoskeleton is the outside
external,
of the skeleton.
Yeah.
External, like a.
Oh, no, our biology expert.
I gotta go back to school. Oh, wish it was smarter.
So when we talk about these like if you're trying to explain bhakti to someone, or someone's asking you about bhakti or challenging you about your faith, right? Yeah. And if they challenge by jumping right into the esoteric part, you're not going to win on that level, right? You're not going to get anywhere. So you set it aside. You say, you know what? You're talking about the very esoteric part. Let's talk about the part that where I might be able to get you, where we might be able to connect. Let's talk about, like the faith and, like the body, the mind, the soul. Let's talk about like on that level, that there must be where does consciousness come from? There must be some source of consciousness that's non-material, that's animating the body, that, things like that. That's the exoteric part of our philosophy and theology and stuff.
And Prabhuji, it's not just for outsiders who are challenging you in your faith. It's for our own selves and our own faith.
Okay,
sometimes after reading Krishna's Leela or Krishna's pastimes, you're like, what? He threw the demon donkey 8 miles away? What? You're sort of like, come on. We're adults. We're really going to believe this fantasy story. Right. So sometimes we have to check in with our own rational mind.
Yeah.
And we have to say, okay, shelf this. What happens is we're climbing up steps in our understanding and in our realization. And sometimes we hear something, and it's okay that we go 2 steps back to get 3 steps forward. It's not okay if we go all the way back to the bottom of the ladder. This whole thing doesn't make any sense. Mm-hmm. This is crazy. Don't go there. Don't fall all the way down the ladder just because there's a hiccup in your tiny, whittle, rational mind. You like that?
Thank you, Elmer.
We're going to have a whittle rational mind. That's understandable. We don't know everything. We can't know everything. It's okay to take 2 steps back. And when he takes 2 steps back with something, just say, you know what? There's been a statement I don't understand. I'm going to shelf that. Here's what I do know. And it's good to go through what you do know. Like, what do I know about this? I can understand philosophically, I'm not a material body. I can understand that there's an inherent intelligence. I can understand that the mind is fickle. I can understand that chanting meditation holds my mind. I can understand that we're all connected. I'm connected with every living being, that every sentient being is spirit. Go back to the ABCs, write them down. If you're one of those persons that goes all the way back to 0, you're one of those persons that one thing's off and you just hit a whole domino and I can't do any of this stuff. Don't be that guy. Okay. Go back 2 steps. It's okay. Don't go back to 0. Knock all your dominoes down. Start from the beginning again. I've seen it happen again and again.
Have you?
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, and I love what you're saying, and I like the idea that let's look at this, right? That I may be following this rational kind of philosophy that's making a lot of sense to me, that's resonating with me, and then it's going to come to certain parts that seem irrational, seem too far out, seem definitely this is some kind of mythology. Maybe you can learn some lessons from it, but it can't be true. And now. The way that faith deepens is first the recognition that the sages that gave me all that rational information in such a brilliantly coded way, and the practices and all that makes such solid sense, and it takes all the pieces of of reality and existence and snaps the puzzle pieces right into place, and it's all clicking. Karma, reincarnation, this, that, it's all, it's all working. The
Chorus.
same, yeah, the same sages that gave us all of that are the ones that are telling us to understand that Krishna lifted this hill with his little finger, right? So such a rational, clear thinking person, or groups of people,
They're buying into this.
they're buying into
cartoon.
it. So that should at least stir up the curiosity and at least allow me to say, well, let me be open to it. But then what we see is that as you go deeper into the esoteric stuff, there's a rationale behind that too, right? A deeper rationale. When you get into the theology of bhakti, who is Krishna? What motivates him? How is he motivated? Then the most beautiful esoteric philosophy kind of arises out of that. And so even things like we were just discussing, like that Krishna enjoys competition. How do we know it? We can see that it's enjoyed, that if it's in us, it's coming from being within him. But his competition is always pure. His competition is always beautiful. His competition always uplifts everyone. And so when he comes as an avatar and is saying, like, wipes out all these, horrible rulers, someone might say, oh my God, that's violent or whatever. But when you go deeper into it and you hear from the commentaries of the great acharyas on this, you see that everything that happens through this is uplifting and beautiful, even for the ones that are getting the chopper, right? Even the ones that are getting knocked out.
Did you say the chakra or the chopper?
I said chopper because we were talking about the chopper earlier, right?
I love that word, the chopper.
Chopper. So in any case, why don't we dip into this purport? We got about 8 minutes left.
Okay, before you hit that purport, hold, Kaustubh.
Yeah.
Another thing you're making this point about. Okay, these thinkers.
Hold it, you just totally lagged out on us.
It's one thing. Oh, man, I'm sick of lagging. Freaking lag wagon.
Try it again.
It's one thing if these people who are very they're scholarly and they're accepting this as well, but it's not just like they're scholarly. Like Professor Bryant, he's not just because he's a scholar, but sometimes it is. If a leader or a professor or something accepts something, then you're thinking, well, this person's smart, they must know it. But these Vedic professors, it's also their deep character, their rich, beautiful character. That is what gives us faith. They're not just learned. And that's another thing about Vedic teachers. They're not just erudite. You just can't get a PhD in this stuff and then you know it. You have to start to transform your habits.
Yeah, the philosophy.
Right?
Yeah, people can throw out different philosophies, different theories, but let's look at the results of them. And if your theory is resulting in people that are confused, disturbed, Nietzsche, committed suicide, it's. But if you see that there's a philosophy there and it's making people kinder, purer, more intelligent, more detached, happier,
right.
Then maybe those are the people we should be listening to.
That's my philosophy teacher. That's the people I want to teach me philosophy, not the guys who are committing suicide. Or
using it as a tool of cruelty or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So here's the commentary that Prabhupada gave to this verse. He says this verse is especially describing the appearance of Lord Krishna and his immediate expansion, Lord Balaram. Both Lord Krishna and Lord Baladev are one supreme personality of Godhead. The two are one. The Lord is omnipotent and he expands himself in innumerable forms and energies. And the whole unit is known as the one supreme Brahman, spiritual energy. Such extensions of the Lord are divided into two divisions, namely the personal and the differential. Right? So that's meaning like personal means it's Krishna himself in another form, and differential means it's Krishna's energy that's separate from him. So the personal expansions are the Vishnu-tattvas, and the differential expansions are the jiva-tattvas. Okay, so these could be your Sanskrit word of the day.
Okay, all right. We're not calling it the Sanskrit word. We're calling it the Sanskrit glossary goodie.
You can call it that.
Sanskrit glossary goodie of the day.
Okay. So this word, so he says, and in such expansional activity, Lord Baladev is the first personal expansion of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God. So these are words that are going to come up if you're reading Prabhupada's commentaries, Vishnu-tattva, jiva-tattva. Right? So the word tattva, it's a little hard to quite put it, but it means like there's these categories of essential principles or essential truths, right? It's different manifestations, different categories of truth. And so Vishnu tattvas means a manifestation that is Krishna. It may be the original form is Krishna, that the Krishna himself as a boy. Baladev is an expansion of him. It's Krishna appearing in another form. Lord Vishnu is Krishna appearing in another form. And most of these avatars are Krishna appearing in another form. Whereas a jiva-tattva is a separate conscious entity, like ourselves. We're the jiva-tattva, right? We are the energy of Krishna, but we have our own individual, in a sense, independent consciousness, our own free will, separate.
We're fallible. And we're fallible.
And so there's differences between the jiva. Vishnu tattva is infallible. Vishnu tattva is not covered by the material energy, right? Or you could say the maha tattva, the material energy. Whereas jiva tattva can become covered or confused by that. Whereas the Vishnu tattva is never confused by that. So anyway, just throwing that out there. There's all these different tattvas. There's, Vishnu tattva, which is, directly, that's Krishna. There's Shakti tattva, which refers to Radharani and all the goddesses, right? A specific manifestation of Krishna's energy. There's the jiva-tattva. Shiva-tattva. Shiva is his own category.
Of tattva. Very interesting.
Yeah. And then there's things like guru-tattva we'll talk about, like what is that principle of guru? How do we understand it? Certain things, the saying guru-tattva and shiva-tattva are very subtle tattvas. Very, that to truly understand them takes time and purity and prayer and good teachers and all of that to understand it, deeply. Yeah. So then Prabhupada goes on in the commentary. Oh, we're done? Okay. We still had a couple more minutes left.
Okay, I don't know. I thought you were cueing me with your eyebrows, like, yes, Guru Tattva, hit the button. Okay, let's take that back again.
Okay. Got everyone dancing there. Nitai Lieberman jumped out of his chair.
Starts dancing. All right, come on, finish.
So the Vishnu Purana, which we were talking about yesterday, as well as in the Vishnu Purana, as well as in the Mahabharata, both Krishna and Baladev are mentioned as having beautiful black hair, even in their advanced age.
So is it safe to say at this point that blonde hair is demonic? Would it be safe to say that?
No, not at all. But red hair. Oh.
Red hair, forget it.
The Lord is called Anupalaksha Marg, or in still more technical Vedic terms, Avan Manasa Gochara, one who is never to be seen or realized by the limited sense perception of people in general. In Bhagavad Gita 7:25, it is said by the Lord, Naham Prakasha Sarvasya Yoga Maya Samavritaha. In other words, he reserves the right of not being exposed to anyone and everyone.
Say that verse. Say the translate. That's such a good verse.
Naham Prakasha Sarvasya Yoga Maya Samavritaha. Yeah.
I'm never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent.
Yeah.
Isn't that great verse?
So
just even that part of the verse. I'm never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. For them, I'm covered by Maya.
Yeah.
Krishna's standing right in front of your face. You can't see him.
Right. The book is speaking to one person. It's not speaking to another person.
It's just not going to speak to you. You know why? Because you're foolish. You're unintelligent. You're arrogant. Boom.
Okay. Let's end there.
Is that good?
Okay.
Woo! Good morning, Monday. Bring it on. Krishna, what do you got for me today? I'm ready. I'm at your feet. What do you want from me? I'm yours. Krishna, you put it out there. Whatever's happening is going to happen to me. I trust it's your divine plan, Krishna. I trust that you have a bigger plan for me than I can see. And whatever you have, I accept it as for my personal growth. Thanks everybody for joining us.
What's going on in
Thanks for all the
Patreon
people
there?
Snuck into that Zoom class late in the day. I see you. I didn't say good morning to you. Good morning here. Some people sneak in after the bell rings.
We need a little Patreon information for what's happening.
Patreon information? Oh yeah, give us some Patreon information.
All right. Claire Weatherly is teaching an asana class at 10 a.m.
Get a little closer to the mic there. A little closer to the
Yeah.
mic.
Get in the mic. Get your head in the mic.
Claire Weatherly is teaching asana at 10 a.m. today, and also Madhu is doing an Ayurvedic Q&A at 7 p.m. Eastern time tonight.
Oh, that's a big one. We gotta
Yeah.
get the word out about that. Okay.
So. Oh, and there's a Bhakti recovery group meeting at 1 p.m. today also.
3 things happening today.
It's happening. It's
Yeah.
happening. If you're not part of that Patreon party, join the party. It's going on. Lots
How does
of
one
goodies.
do that? How does
do
one
they
do
do
that?
You go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages, and you give a portion of your inheritance to us. And that for that part of anything, a Krugerrand, we're accepting whatever you give. And then you are in that team and in that party. And then you get a whole vault load of goodies. And now, the most important part of the show, you can see our second youngest follower is there. Nitai
There he goes.
Lieberman, he's dancing. Now we sing and dance. We do something trans-rational.